All right, you guys, happy Friday. I'm saying happy Friday, but actually, I'm a little bit angry and I'm trying to calm down, okay? Because the text messages that have now made their way into the public fodder regarding yesterday, we did a whole episode explaining that there was a journalist, allegedly just a mommy blogger, who was working on a hit piece about me. Well, these text messages actually reveal that that hit piece was being overseen by former journalist Olivia Nuzzi. Now, if you don't know that name, she is the young lady who had a what was described as a digital affair with RFK Jr., the Maha man, before she was let go by New York Magazine. Which brings us back to RFK Jr. in general, and I feel like it's a great time to discuss him and his bizarre, almost reflexive like support of people that I would think that anyone interested in health would find detestable, like Rabbi Shmuley, for an example. What exactly is going on with the Maha movement? Why does it seem like it's been somewhat hijacked? We should discuss all of those things today, especially while we're covering JFK assassination files, right? Also, Jessica Mann, it's been a busy Friday. The woman who put Harvey away for 3 years has publicly reached out to me, and she had a lot to say after opting to make her profile public. And we were waiting for that. People were asking, "Why did you suspend the Harvey series?" We knew she was trying to make contact, and it was the right thing to do. And all I'm going to say on this Friday is that I hope everybody who is engaging themselves and their lives in lies knows that in the end, truth is going to win. Welcome back to Candace. Okay, I kind of want to unpack this a lot today. I guess I'm going to unpack it slowly is what I'm trying to say because I know there are a lot of people who watch me internationally and sometimes I want to make sure that we're not way too in the details and it still makes sense to you because there are very severe implications of what's happening in America obviously. We used that caption "One Nation Under Blackmail" for a reason. We've been speaking about a lot about blackmail on the show as we go through the JFK files. And yesterday we left off, and I was telling you about this mommy blogger, and some of you guys didn't understand why we were getting into this. You thought she was just some jealous woman, middle-aged woman who went a little nutty, attacking me for inexplicable reasons. We explained to you that her name is Jessica Reed Krause. She has 4 children, and I had assumed initially that there really was nothing sinister that was happening here. Perhaps too many drinks and some weird midlife crisis jealousy that was going on. And I wasn't really suited to diagnose her. I was really laughing through the entire thing because everything she was writing was just, like I said, so nutty. It was crazy, accusing me of having hidden wealth and saying she's going to expose me, going after her best friends. I mean, she got even crazier on Instagram. It just seemed like everything was coming down for her. And I am here today to tell you that I was wrong. There was a lot more going on here than initially met the eye. And it is so much more complicated and more demented than I could have ever imagined, especially when you start to realize this woman has access to Donald Trump and she's bragging about it. And she's talking about her White House sources and accusing me of anti-Semitism. And I now believe that this involves RFK Jr. and the Maha movement. And we're going to go there because I really don't care. Okay. So I'm going to recap a couple of things for you. Her online moniker, Jessica Reed Krause, is House in Habit. She's been around for years and only kind of made her way into the MAGA movement recently when she said, sort of, "I used to be a far left leaning liberal feminist, and some people woke me up about it, and the MAGA movement could not have been more welcoming to her." And it was basically, she said, the story of her husband that made her realize that something was amiss. And generally speaking, you probably have realized I've abstained a lot from politics because when you get up close to a lot of these people, everyone's just kind of a liar and how they position themselves and trying to care about family values. And you find out everybody's drinking and drunk and sleeping with one another. And I just sort of had enough of that when I started my family and I pulled away. And remarkably, it has not stopped people from trying to attack me and my family. Doesn't make me a victim. I have felt very protected, especially as I rededicated my life, I should say, to God. But it is something that I have noticed has increased over the last year or so, especially since I've gone independent. Particularly when we were speaking about House and Habit. The reason we were covering her was because she published a blog in which she accused me and, rather conspicuously, Tucker Carlson And Ian Carroll. So if you don't remember Ian Carroll, he went on Joe Rogan. He also had this back forth with Elon Musk that went viral. He has asserted himself as a person who was on TikTok. Literally, he started going down the grocery aisles and being like, who owns all of these junk food brands? And then he started taking a look at some old conspiracies and has really made a name for himself as someone who is willing to speak out against Israel and has amassed a following of millions. Okay. And it was interesting that in one fell swoop, she decided to go after me, Tucker Carlson, and Ian Carroll. And the things that she said about us were either weird or just factually untrue. She accused Tucker Carlson of being an Iranian propagandist, as an example, in this piece. And what was strange about that is she was almost mining the trust of her viewers, her readers, and being like, and I like Tucker Carlson. And what was random about the slight was that, similar to me, Tucker Carlson had been so nice to her leading up to this moment. He had been overly kind to her. She got to go backstage with him when he was on tour, and she wrote a glowing piece about Tucker Carlson in her Substack in October of last year. Literally, this was published in October of last year, backstage with Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones. And similarly, this mommy blogger, when she went on stage and was invited to speak about her transformation, she gave a speech and she spoke to people and did podcasts claiming that Candace Owens, saved her marriage and made her wake up to things and realign her beliefs. So I want you to take a listen to that clip of her, and she is speaking with Alex Clark of Turning Point USA. Take a listen.
It was Candace, and I had always liked her. Like, even as a liberal, I hated the things she was saying, but I liked the way she said them.
Why? What is it about the way she says it?
Well, I think she's, it's like, it's the art of everything, the art of storytelling, the art of gossip, the art of argument. And she's good at what she does. She can defend herself. You can hate it, you cannot agree with it, but she is always able to defend her point with,
So is it fair to say Candace Owens saved my marriage?
Is she here? I feel like I need to send her a fruit basket or something.
She wanted to send me a fruit basket. She similarly wrote a glowing piece about me after profiling me in January, reached out to my publicist, said that we should do more work together, moms should stick together. And then magically, guys, and this is really important, magically, like somebody just flipped a switch, something changed. The last couple of weeks, she was suddenly using her Substack to lightly suggest to people, again, she's earned their trust, that they really shouldn't consider my content. And Tucker Carlson's an Iranian. And the last person, Ian Carroll, that she went after, she just lied about, okay? In her Substack piece, she outright lies about him. She claims he stole Whitney Webb's work and didn't properly attribute her, which is just wild. I mean, when Ian Carroll went on Joe Rogan, he spoke extensively about Whitney Webb. He promoted her book. He promoted it on a thread on Twitter. And I thought that actually Whitney Webb's response was rather inglorious. Like, she was saying, well, he didn't perfectly quote my tome of a book, and he was so gracious about it and said, I'm sorry if I made any mistakes. So it was just a weird set of attacks, because I'm going, what does Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and Ian Carroll have in common? Especially to then say something as petty as I'm copying her and trying to rebrand. That in and of itself, to me, registered as a conspiracy, because something you should know about neocons, the forever war, send American sons and daughters to die perpetually overseas in lands and territories that they don't recognize, is that one thing that they have in common is that you must worship Israel, the foreign state. And here you have three independent voices who are being smeared and libel, who don't do that, and who truly are not being controlled by anybody else, despite the implications of these pieces. Well, yesterday, actually, rather, it was this morning, yesterday, last night, I heard about it. We discovered something that was quite shocking, and I would say conspiratorial indeed, okay? So the writer who came forward to me and said that she was told to work on a larger piece, and she admitted, I didn't like you, I had beef with you anyways, but then House and Habit, Jessica Reed Krause, came to me and asked me to work on a larger piece about you. and Meghan McCain, neocon #1, whose dad just sort of murdered everybody in the Middle East so that she could live comfortably with her children, okay? John McCain's daughter was salivating in the background, wanting to read this piece, right? Wanted to just see a hit piece done on Candace. And I thought this is kind of like stupid stuff, and Meghan McCain has hated me forever. Who cares? That woman, Emily Hagan, was very forthcoming, and I think quite honest about the fact that she was really just sort of possessed with a demon and wanted to take me down, and said that the environment that was fostered working for Jessica Reed Krause kind of allowed for that. Climb on top of each other, try to hurt people, and this is the way we're going to get to the top, okay? Then what happens next was a little bit murky. Now, she had told me, Emily told me, that it was her who opted to take the piece down. Like, I am the writer, Emily. I am writing this hit piece on Candace. And the hit piece itself got quite conspiratorial because there wasn't anything that she needed to write, okay? So Emily told me she wanted to take the piece down, but House and Habit yesterday, Jessica Reed Krause was telling the people, no, she was the one who killed the piece. It was me. I killed it on my own Substack because I didn't think it was well written enough. This is what she said on Instagram. Last thing I'll say, I killed the hit piece on Candace. Emily knows that. She even has a copy of the scrapped article if Candace wants to read it. It was too slanderous to post. I explained this to her, and she went crazy on me. Then I tried to connect Jess Mann to Candace to give additional insight to the story, but Jess later declined. I never hated Candace. I still don't. So she was still trying to paint herself to be the hero of the story, where she called for this hit piece to be written, but then when she read it, it was too slanderous, and she killed it and wrote a softer hit piece via a newsletter. None of it made any sense, but I was like, you know what? It's getting too in the weeds for me. I need to get on and move on in my life. Her side, who knows what the truth is? But then finally it emerged. It emerged, and it's actually really important because Emily then released the text messages showing exactly how the piece ended. And I'm going to show you this message because it makes my blood positively boil, because it's everything that we say about journalists, okay? This is a text message chain between Jessica Reed Krause, the owner of the Substack, and Emily Hagan. Jessica Reed Krause writes, so she reads it, we don't know who she is right now, and says that we absolutely cannot publish it as is. She says it sounds too conspiratorial and it's too all over. She thinks it needs to be fine-tuned, and there are really good points to be made with less. She offered to edit it, but would not want anyone to know. She would edit in office. She said it's too 4chan or whatever. Emily writes back, Jessica, I'm not even finished and I'm over it. So she's right now saying, I'm over it. I don't want to do it. House and Habit, Jessica Reed Krause writes back, she said it should be a clean shot to be impactful. This just makes me bubble. She said it should be a clean shot. They are speaking about me and my life and a doctored article that they are going to try to make look real, you know, a la I'm now the Justin Baldoni who is like reading messages about people who are going, we need to make it sound real. We can't find anything on Candace, but whatever we create on Candace, and this is the storyline I told you they're working on, trying to like Andrew Tateify my life when I've been so honest about the lack. Like I literally have seen Andrew Tate 5 times. I understand his platform. I understand why young men follow him. And I'm sorry that I know how to read culture, but they were working on this piece, going to release a conspiracy about me because they couldn't find anything of substance. And when she was revealed of who was overseeing this piece and who was going to personally edit it, we found out that this person was Olivia Nuzzi. Clean shot, Olivia Nuzzi said. It needs to be a clean shot. They are speaking like they are an assassination hit squad. So who called the shot? Why, if this is supposed to be Jessica Reed Krause's little mommy blog, is there somebody more senior to her calling the shots and saying, I will personally edit this because this needs to be a clean shot on Candace Owens? Do you guys understand how demented that is? It absolutely infuriates me. They are talking about someone who they know is about to give birth imminently. Okay. They are dragging my publicist to a dinner or a lunch, whatever it was, putting a carrot on the stick saying, oh, Harvey Weinstein's person who put him in prison wants to speak to you. We're thinking it's all friendly. And they're going, no, we need to kill this buck and we need to make sure it's a clean shot. So yeah, this girl's telling the truth. She was not happy about the fact that Olivia Nuzzi was involved in the piece. Here's the second page of the text messages. And she writes back to her, and you're going to be shocked about what we were going to tell you about Olivia Nuzzi. Emily writes back and says, have Olivia write it. I'm over the story. Sorry, LOL. So yes, the writer herself killed the piece. Jessica says, I don't care. I think it's fine to get opinions on stuff. And she writes again, I don't care about this topic anymore. It's old news. Then Jessica tries to save it, says she liked a lot of it, says the other stuff takes away. Then she writes back and says, Emily says, it's not even effing done. I'm really annoyed that she's reading my draft. And Jessica says, I think that's not the point. And Jessica ends it by saying, you are way too emotional over regular editing stuff. So the writer shut down the piece because she was annoyed that Olivia Nuzzi was jumping in on it. And as she told me, she said, there wasn't any substance to it because we couldn't find anything on you. And I just said, this is boring. I don't want to do this anymore. And then Jessica lies about that to her followers, pretends she killed the piece. She then messages my PR and says, I killed the piece. No. The writer was no longer down to publish it because Olivia Nuzzi was involved. Pull her up again. There's a picture of Olivia Nuzzi. Who is this human being? Who is Olivia Nuzzi? Why is she calling shots, clean shots, on people like Candace Owens and directing and being some ghost hand behind the scenes? And it's not, once you understand who Olivia Nuzzi is, shocking that she would go after Tucker Carlson. What's rather shocking is that Jessica Reed Krause is bragging about how close she is to Donald Trump while having a person who is taking shots at real conservatives in this country. So I'm going to tell you about Olivia Nuzzi. She was a correspondent for New York Magazine. Yes, the one that we just uncovered, that whole weird pedophile senior writer sympathizer. She was a correspondent for New York Magazine from 2017 to 2024. So she had quite a long tenure there. Prior to that, she was a writer for the Daily Beast in 2016, covering Donald Trump and his presidential campaign. I mean, she's vehemently anti-Trump. Here's some of her past writing for the Daily Beast. Illegal voter truther, I'll dox 3 million, Trump's dark forecast for America. Meet the MC of Trump's no glitz big day. Trump vows disclosures, gives garbage. Trump crushes the last never Trump dream. What Trump should have told the press. This girl is calling shots behind the scenes on someone who is close with Trump in the Trump campaign, okay? And so, yeah, she had quite a long tenure at New York Magazine until in September of 2024, New York Magazine had to place her on leave after it was disclosed that she was having an affair with RFK Jr. Now, they both maintained at the time that this was clearly a sexting affair. I now believe nothing that comes out of this woman's mouth because she sat across from my PR agent and pretended she had nothing to do with the House and Habits vlog. Like she didn't want, like she was encouraging her, don't go after Candace. Oh, I'm just like a ditzy blonde. What's going on? So let me tell you something about this young lady that you might find to be really interesting, really interesting. She doesn't come from money and she lost her job. And typically if you don't come from money and you lose your job, it is not a time to make a cross-country move into one of the wealthiest counties in the United States. But that's what she did. After she lost her job for having an affair or sexting affair, whatever it is they said. And I was inclined to believe RFK Jr. at the time because I've had a soft spot for him, which I'd like to harden a bit right now, because he was the only source when I decided I didn't want to vaccinate my children. And I'm not going to take that away from him. His Children's Health Defense Fund. I am not going to be so petty as to pretend that he was literally the only website. If you wanted to find information about vaccines and learn something different other than what pediatricians were telling you, you really only had RFK Jr.'s charity, Children's Health Defense. And so I was excited about him joining the Trump administration because I have felt that the country has been too polarized. And when it comes to children's health, we shouldn't be left or right. Like moms do need to come together on this and take control and say that doctors have gone too far. And I was supportive of him in that capacity, supportive of him being a person to be brought on in this administration to tear up all the terrible things the CDC has done, which I believe to be a drug cartel. And so when this information came out about his little sexting scandal, I was inclined to believe him. I really was, that it was, and really to kind of look at this woman and say, who is she? Because I thought to myself, was this a honeypot scheme Was this a person who, like her writings, hates Trump so much that she will do anything to harm any person near him? I didn't cover it. I didn't cover this at all. I don't think the RFK junior sexting scandal, because it wasn't something that I personally had investigated and felt confident that I could speak out on. But here's what I do now feel confident that I could speak out on. So she loses her job, and Olivia Nuzzi moves to Malibu, California. She moves cross country after being fired to an extraordinarily wealthy county. And you have to ask yourself, how did that happen? Who's paying for that? I mean, she could have had a good savings. She blew up her engagement for this alleged affair. You have to ask, how does someone who is unemployed just think that it's rational to make that sort of a decision? Maybe, okay, want a new life, new air, whatever, go to California. And another question that I have is, now that we know that she does lie to people's faces, is how much money is she making? Okay. How much money is she making, and who exactly is it that is funding her so that she can even afford to eat in Malibu, right? Again, she could be running through her savings account. I don't know. But my suspicion was that Olivia was acting as an intentional honeypot. But then I learned some new things that have me asking more questions, and I'm going to share that with you. The first thing is that yesterday, Jessica Reed Krause was desperate to protect her identity, okay? Now, with everything going on, we don't need to get into the nitty gritty. She's got her best friend of 14 years who she is exposing and telling people personal details about her former best friend's children. She didn't care about defending her best friend or protecting her best friend. She was sending us dirt on her best friend, actually, to the exact contrary. But she did say to my PR agent, like, Olivia Nuzzi doesn't need to be a part of this. We don't need to put Olivia Nuzzi into this. I'm sorry, aren't you MAGA conservative now? Weren't you doing tons of Substacks about how awful Olivia was? Now you care to protect her? Okay, whatever. Let's not think too much into that. But the other element of this is super interesting. Olivia, currently living in Malibu, which means now she doesn't live in a city, which means now she's got to drive a car, is driving a car. She's driving a foreign car in Malibu, and her license plates, and I'm not giving you the end of a license plates, but her real true license plates are, and I can show you here, RFK 66 blank blank. That is some coincidence. I gotta tell you, okay? Like, I gotta tell you, it's a weird thing. Like, it's not every day that your license plates reflect the sexting scandal that you just had, okay? It's not every day. Who purchased this foreign car? Who got this car to Malibu? Okay, it's a British car. And your license plates are RFK and some numbers. What the hell is going on? Okay? You're being protected by the woman who should be wanting to take you down, the woman who takes photos with RFK's family, RFK's wife, right? And pretends that she just loves the Kennedys so much. Why would she be hanging out with the mistress? Why is the mistress driving around in a car that has got RFK's name on the license plates? And by the way, I checked the YouTube rules. I should be able to show you the entire thing without being accused of doxing, but I don't want to take any risk of this video being taken down, because now we need to look further into RFK. We need to look further into what the hell is going on here, okay? And they know I'm coming. Okay, they definitely know I'm coming, because you know what, Olivia Nuzzi? You didn't take a clean effing shot. Your shot was not clean enough. Okay? It doesn't seem like you understand rules of the jungle. You were hunting someone and you didn't have the shot. And now I'm coming for you 100%, because I find this whole thing now to positively reek. I am wondering who you are and who pays you to go after certain people, and why it is that Miss Jessica Reed Krause is bragging about her access to Trump and how much access she has now that we know how she operates in the night, which is vile. She's a vile creature, reading messages about someone who is plotting against you, talking about how it needs to be a clean shot, knowing that they are manufacturing lies, makes you a sick and disturbed individual. Okay, to correct that, that is actually Jessica Reed Krause's car that she is driving around, and she is pretending that she got it a long time ago. and the car is not registered at all to California. And both of these women are liars. So I don't know whose car it is. I want to be very clear. We have caught both of these women in multiple lies leading up to this. And all we know is that these two women are protecting one another, and they are running a Substack and going after conservatives. And they have access to the president, and we don't know who is funding this. So is the car, which we've looked into and is not properly registered, does that car actually belong to Jessica Reed Krause? And if it does, why is she lying about how she got that car? Why is it not registered properly? And why is she driving around in this car with RFK Jr.'s mistress? Are things weird here? Yes, they're very weird. And now, suddenly, Jessica Reed Krause needs a break, you guys. She posted on her Substack saying that she needs to take a step back. And we're going to read that. I mean, she tried to couch it and hide it by also using a quotation from Jessica Mann, but we'll pull these two things apart. This is what she has to say. She writes to her many Substack followers who are unsubscribing at the moment, "My instinct is always to wait until my emotions settle before writing to, quote unquote, explain. Writers are different than podcasters. Live media thrives on immediate response. Words on pages meant to translate experiences come slower and don't go viral. So while I can't expand on or engage with the internet's version of events, the way it's spun and distorted the very messy, very personal loss of a longtime friend and writer, I do want to say this. I deeply regret how it's all played out. I regret my part, and I have, of course, my reaction fired by pain. There is so much behind the scenes that is fueled by. But I'm stunned by how much has been misconstrued to satisfy the audience of seething strangers and boost someone else's live views." She's actually accusing me, the person who survived her hit piece, of just trying to boost my live views. Oh, I'm just trying to have a baby, Jessica, and you're orchestrating clean shots behind the scenes, okay? "I asked that a broken friendship not be dragged into a fight over an opinion piece, but that ask was twisted into something else too. You are a liar. I never wanted to, quote, go to war with Candace Owens. In many ways, she's been an ally. We agree on a lot. I regret how this feud unfolded, but I also know that there are hard-earned lessons here. When a major rupture happens, especially one that's ugly and impossible to neatly explain, you see how quickly a narrative can take off, how a viral attack can consume you while you're still processing private heartbreak." I mean, she's so full of it. "In this case, it's often easier to surrender to the noise than to defend yourself, because defending yourself means revealing private details that the internet does not deserve. But that would shift the story entirely. There are major parts of this situation missing from the public view. Key elements are being manipulated to fit convenient narratives, and it's all very sad to watch. I trust that you as readers know that the unspoken details are excluded for fair reason, marked by an unfortunate disconnect. In this chaos, I've chosen to step back and away and let people draw conclusions from a limited perspective. They can trash me all they want moving forward. I can only control how I respond. And no, it's not easy." Okay, Jessica Reed Krause, I believe none of that, okay? You are not a victim here. That should have read is, "I am a total piece of crap who got caught being a piece of crap. And I apologize to my readers who believe that anything that I've ever done has ever been authentic, when really I was off to the highest bidder as soon as that bid was made available to me." And we're now going to find out what that bid was. We are going to find out, as I said, this car is not legally registered, who actually owns that car. Is it Olivia Nuzzi, Malibu, or is it Jessica Reed Krause in Malibu? And yeah, no, I'm not believing lightning struck and RFK is on the plates of this car that you're driving around that is unregistered in Malibu, okay? And I'm not believing that your friendship with her, which you are fighting to protect from the public while taking down your actual friends, is just, out of the blue. There is something sinister going on here. And I want to also add here that the irony in all this for me personally is last night I was thinking about my granddad. And I still very much grieve my grandfather. About, I would say, every 4 months, I will just have a good cry about missing my grandfather. And it's not a sad cry. It's like just going through moments in my life and trying to imagine what his wisdom would be. and what an honorable man he was. And I thought to myself last night, the saddest part of the state of affairs today in America is we do not have honorable men. We don't have honorable men anymore. We have the most despicable, disgusting men and women pretending to lead the charge, people who are the most undeserving of platforms, the most undeserving of fans, and who will literally say and do whatever behind the scenes if it means they get invited to the right party. We're disgusting. We have just become a nation that should hang its head in shame. Judas culture, betrayal, backstabbing, harming one another, going after families who have done nothing to you for the sheer sport because someone says, I don't know, we got to take down Candace Owens. And we know that there's a lot of that going on in DC, but my grandfather was an honorable man, and we are just now a culture of dishonor. Which brings me to RFK Jr., because I would like to discuss him now after a brief break. First, I want to throw it to Tax Network USA, because we know the IRS is the largest collection agency in the world. And with April 15th fast approaching, it's more aggressive than ever. In 2025, enforcement has ramped up. And if you owe back taxes or you have unfiled returns, waiting is not an option. The longer that you do, the worse it's going to get. Ignoring your tax troubles is the worst thing you could possibly do. Getting ahead of this now is the smart move, but never contact the IRS alone. Instead, let the experts at Tax Network USA handle it for you. Not all tax resolution companies are the same. Tax Network USA has a preferred direct line to the IRS, meaning that they know exactly which agents to deal with and which ones you should be avoiding. With proven strategies to settle tax problems in your favor, whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, Tax Network USA's attorneys and negotiators have already resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. Talk with one of their strategists today. It is free. Call 1-800-958-1000 or just visit tnusa.com/Candace. That's visit tnusa.com/Candace. So let's talk about RFK Jr. because he's interesting. His movements, at least we could definitely say, have been interesting. And I'm going to tell you what I've heard. And frankly, you're hearing this stuff from Olivia Nuzzi. She's the one in the grapevine. I want to be very clear here. So, Olivia, you wanted to protect RFK Jr. I don't care what you wanted to protect. You were hunting the wrong buck, okay? All bets are off now. So we discussed yesterday how we all kind of know who killed JFK, but we keep doing this weird song and dance in America, like no, it's awkward. We don't want to say, well, things are adding up. And we've always known, we weren't really waiting for the release of these files to vindicate us. It's very clear. Why else would you lock something down for this long? It's very clear who was involved. And the weirdest song and dance and all that we're all doing at the moment is pretending that RFK Jr.'s unflinching loyalty and, quite frankly, his fear of saying anything negative about Israel is not bizarre, okay? I'm going to pull up Dave Smith here. Dave Smith has been just an incredible powerhouse. He was majorly supportive of RFK Jr. as a candidate, saying essentially, because he's moderate, I like him because he doesn't like war. He is a libertarian, and he has been a leader in the libertarian movement for quite some time, Dave Smith. And he got behind RFK until he didn't. He felt like it was very weird that RFK had just this blind spot for Israel. It was weird to him. And he calls him out. He called him out right to his face. Skylar, let's pull that up. Dave Smith just calling out RFK Jr. for this remarkable hypocrisy while pretending to be anti-war, but also simultaneously unwilling to say anything about the state of Israel.
It is the worst humanitarian catastrophe in the world right now. And the idea that you, who are supposed to be the anti-neocon, anti-war presidential candidate, are immediately on October 7th, before we even had an investigation, before we even knew what happened there, you immediately say, what basically you said everything they say about Ukraine. You said it was an unprovoked attack. Which, come on, give me a break. An attack from Gaza against Israel is unprovoked. And then you said, we have to support them in whatever it takes. Well, look, sir, we're watching it right now. This is whatever it takes. Just women and children dying under rubble. Every day you can't go on social media without seeing another video of some baby dying. This is what we're supposed, after the last 20 years of disastrous wars, we got to support the next one. I mean, sir, this is like a biblical level of evil. And why? Why should we as Americans have to fund this? Why should we have to give them a blank check? I'm sorry, it's been long enough.
And RFK didn't have an acceptable answer, and that was something that was one of the reasons why he was just not going to be vocal in his support. Dave Smith was not going to be vocal in his support of RFK Jr., but he said the biggest thing was just the fact that he was hanging around Rabbi Shmuley. I mean, like, it's just like a thing that everybody just agrees on. He is just a filthy, disgusting human man, and he made him a part of his campaign. This is a person who openly blackmails people. He's being sued right now from a wealthy Jewish family down in Miami for trying to extort them. He deals in extortion and blackmail in broad daylight and tried to extort the owners of Fontainebleau by calling them Nazi sympathizers, everything that he did to me and everyone. He was just like a smear merchant. And RFK Jr. is just buddy-buddy with him. How weird. And when I got into my most viral debate last year with him, and I just let Rabbi Shmuley be Rabbi Shmuley. I kind of just sat back and watched him be a demon. RFK Jr. randomly tweeted right after this debate, which everyone was just like, yeah, he got what he deserved. He's disgusting. Like, nobody was defending Rabbi Shmuley. Nobody. RFK Jr. comes to his defense and spoke about the troubling rise of anti-Semitism. You got to watch this debate, because he did not, in RFK Jr.'s tweet, it was almost like someone just took his phone and said, this is what you got to do. You know, I control you, man. And even though you're not going to rebut one thing Candace said, you just got to call her an anti-Semite. And RFK Jr. did it. So this is what he wrote about. He wrote this to me. During her interview on Piers Morgan, Candace Owens inferred to what she called radical Judaism and characterized the iconic Lubavitcher Rebbe Menachem Schneerson as someone who preached Jewish supremacism and hatred of all non-Jews. Yeah, no, I didn't say that. He's putting that in quotation marks because two Israeli historians translated his words, and that's what he taught. It's just a fact. It's a fact. You don't get to just like unfact that. I mean, it's not my fault that people write books and tell the truth. And he writes, these words are sickening, a manifestly an inaccurate description of a revered holy man who was respected and beloved by people of all faiths. So he goes on to this and talks about anti-Semitism, but here's where it gets interesting, because this is before he got into office. Now RFK is in office, and I'm thinking, okay, he had to defend his Rabbi Shmuley buddy who just got destroyed in a debate, but he's kind of made anti-Semitism his focus. This is a tweet from him that he recently sent out. Anti-Semitism, like racism, is a spiritual and moral malady that sickens societies and kills people with lethalities comparable to history's most deadly plagues. In recent years, the censorship and false narratives of woke cancel culture have transformed our great universities into greenhouses for this deadly and virulent pestilence. Making America healthy means building communities of trust and mutual respect based on speech freedom and open debate. And then he included a link to the hhs.gov. So that's weird. And then he's decided that anti-Semitism is a health crisis. Like, this is not what we put you, this is just not what we put you in office for. I don't care who needs to debate any of this, other than this is not what people put you in office for. We wanted you to go after vaccines. We wanted you to go after the CDC. We did not want you to establish anti-Semitism as a health crisis. And The Atlantic was right when they wrote this headline: make public health officials stay in their lane again. Fighting anti-Semitism isn't RFK Jr.'s job. Yes, that is correct. What are we even speaking about here? Why is RFK Jr. feel like he's just being moved by Rabbi Shmuley in the background and not focused on what we put him in office for? Why is RFK Jr. not the first person that's all over the JFK files? If he's going to do some outside work outside of focusing on health, and he's really worried and wants to dedicate his time, I would think maybe looking into the JFK files and giving us some sort of a conclusion on what he thinks could be interesting, but that's not what he's doing. And so what's interesting is I have begun to wonder who's got something on RFK Jr. And indeed, as I said, because Olivia Nuzzy's got a big mouth when she's not busy hunting big buck, there is some interesting stories that are circulating in the background. And it does, again, at least according to what is circulating all throughout the PR world, thanks to Olivia Nuzzy, and she wants to make sure she protects RFK. She's made that clear. She wants to protect RFK. She doesn't want this stuff made public. Is that there's some sexual blackmail in the background that's going on. Some sexual interests in the background that's going on. And let me tell you, if Olivia Nuzzy knows it, we could guess that some other people know it. And I'm willing to guess a guy like Rabbi Shmuley would make sure that he knows it. And so I'm just finding this whole thing and the stuff that I've heard about RFK Jr. and the stuff that I know Olivia Nuzzy has on him to be interesting in the context of the fact that she's operating hit pieces against conservatives. She hates Donald Trump, and yet she's chummy with someone who is within striking distance from Donald Trump. I find all of this to be very interesting. It should be publicized, that there's weird sexual blackmail that is being discussed by Olivia Nuzzi about RFK Jr. She is a character that people need to pay more attention to. And so what I have said is that I am very much looking forward to collaborating now with Ian Carroll, since they were hunting us. I'm just trying to figure out what we can learn about Olivia Nuzzi. And so I'm openly saying to people, if you know her, if you've worked with her, if you dated her, anything, you can email us at info@CandaceOwens.com and tell us what you know, because I'm going to focus on her. I just know where there's smoke, there's fire. And it seems to me that her odd protection of RFK Jr., her wanting to stay in the background as she edits pieces attacking certain people, and all of them kind of happen to be people that say anything about Israel. After I looked through all the JFK stuff, it ain't making me feel like, it's just not making me feel like this couldn't be, I don't know, I guess the best way to say it is like the last leg of the Zionist attack on influencers who they don't have influence over, who just tell the public the truth and are willing to discuss the topics as they are. Just don't care what you're going to call us anymore, because you've called us everything, which is why you're now working on conspiratorial pieces and trying to make them look real. Maybe Candace is actually a pimp with Andrew Tate. This is what they've got. So you want to know why I don't respond when they ridiculously demand that I answer for Kanye, how Kanye West's wife is dressing? Because it's a nonsense. It means you have nothing left. You have nothing left to attack me with when you are now going, Kanye's wife ate a salad. And Candace says she hates salad, so she needs to explain and answer for why his wife is eating a salad. No, I don't. You're not going to hook me, okay? Question me for my deeds and my actions. You don't get to tell me that what Bianca Censori is wearing is something that I have to speak out. Or, oh my gosh, 27,000 articles are going to be written. You're all frauds. You are all frauds. And you're going to get exposed. I'm telling you, one by one, you're going to get exposed because you're pissing me off now, okay? I spent all of 2024 having to fight you guys. You're like disgusting little goblins. You operate all in the dark. You lie. It's you lie like some people breathe, genuinely. These people lie like I breathe. It's just natural. It's just like their lungs expand and a lie comes out. And there's a network of them, and Meghan McCain and Ben Dominic have been a part of that network forever, okay? Everyone knows who these neocons are, who want to keep Americans drummed up, go to war. These people who can't fight the wars, they cry when someone points out accurately that they're clinically obese. They can't fight the wars, but your sons and daughters better fight the wars, guys. God forbid you have a person on a platform telling you, no, this is stupid. We don't need to be involved in Bibi Netanyahu's Middle East BS and expansion policies. Okay, they don't have the people, so they want you to be the people that go die for it and are trying to marry you to those ideas in the classroom, on podcasts, via the media. And because their relationship and your trust in the media has been fractured, they now have to work on trying to fracture your trust in people like me and Tucker Carlson. This is the new vibe. He sounds like an Iranian propagandist when he says don't die in Iran. When he says that obviously no person should send their kids to die in the Middle East because this has been our policy, our flatline policy for the last decades, and nothing good has come of it. Literally nothing good has come of it. They can't even pretend anything good has come of it. Look around, look at your streets. Look at your country. Is your country cleaner? Is your country better for having fought Israel's wars for decades? Oh, that's anti-Semitic. I know RFK Jr. I know RFK Jr. I hope they don't expose anything about you. All the rumors Olivia Nuzzi is circulating about you. But don't worry, she tells people that she wants to protect you. She does actually really like you and she loves you. She has a soft spot for you. She does. That's a fact. You all sicken me. I just want to say it again. You all sicken me. I'm done with the hit pieces. I'm done with you coming after my family. Leave us the F alone. Okay? Leave us alone. I don't care anymore. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to be leaving you alone. I'm done. I'm just so pissed off about it. And they always do this when I'm pregnant. They always do it when I'm pregnant. Imagine texting about that. You're a grown woman with 4 children. We need a clean shot on this 8-month pregnant woman who's waddling around because we can't find anything. Yeah, if you found anything on me, you want to know what it was? You'd find out that I didn't know the full Latin liturgy because my life is spent between church, my life is spent between mass and my children. And that's driving you crazy because you all suck. You're all disgusting. You all have no morals. That's why you're in DC posting about your shoes on a red carpet and thinking that it means something to anybody who has a shred of morality, because that is who you guys are. That's what you believe in. That is what you worship. You worship celebrity. You worship red carpets. You worship paparazzi shots. Your life has no substance. You guys are literally, you worship Satan. It's all meaningless. It means nothing. You're all dishonorable. That's all I'm going to say about that. Anyways, skipping to the Jessica Mann stuff. So that was her carrot on the stick, right? Me trying to be a good person, wait to see what this girl has to say, you know, and suspended the series because I'm not here to try to spin one side. I've been honest about what my viewpoint is in the Me Too movement from the very beginning. I read Jessica Mann's emails. She got in touch via House and Habit. Jessica Mann went public on Instagram this morning and basically made her profile. I guess it was supposed to kind of also be a PR move for Jessica Krause, which is weird. But she basically went public saying that she's willing to talk. And I'm going to accept that at face value. I'm happy to talk to her. We've had a little bit of discussion in the background that I told her we'll keep off record. But in terms of what she published publicly, here's what she said. She said, I get it. You may not believe Harvey raped me. Sometimes it feels like I can't even be human. Every emotion I show becomes ammunition for someone to dismiss me. Candace, I've heard your criticism loud and clear, and I'm not here to dodge it or deflect. I'm more than willing to sit down with you, talk openly about every part of my life, my experiences, my choices, the messy and the real. I'd welcome the chance to address your doubts directly, not because I need to prove anything, but because I believe in facing things head on. What debate will produce is making sure no one, man or woman, has to endure what I went through. If you're up for it, I'm here ready to listen and speak because I think that's where understanding starts, the doors open. But I am not the court, the judge, or the jury. Those roles carry a weight I don't claim. What happened to me is something I wouldn't wish on a single soul, and I remain committed to letting the legal process unfold with the dignity that it demands. Justice is bigger than me, and I respect its course. For now, I'm navigating the storm as best I can, holding fast to that principle. So, like I said, we are having some conversations in the background. I've told her basically, you know, everything that I've said is public. You know what I think about it. If for those of you who have watched the series, number 3, you know, we went into Jessica Mann and her emails, and there's just some weird stuff. And maybe she has an explanation for them. Maybe she has more to offer. Maybe she has more to show. But I am interested in nothing but truth at the end of the day. So we'll see exactly what it is that she has. All right, guys, I'm really sorry for the rant and yelling at you guys this Friday. I really thought that I was just going to, burst into flames. I can't explain what it's like to read people plotting your demise and the demise of your family. And I have been fighting this for a year, and that is the reason. But if you noticed that my skin looked good while I was ranting, it's because of Nimi Skincare. It's never too late to continue embracing positive change in your life. If you're ready to maintain that new year, new me momentum, look no further than Nimi Skincare. From gentle formulas to luxurious treatments, Nimi offers everything you need to keep your skin glowing. Right now, use code Candace10 at checkout to enjoy 10% off your order. So whether you're pampering yourself or surprising a loved one, now's the perfect opportunity to try Nimi's transformative skincare at a great price. Nimi Skincare isn't just another beauty brand. It's a celebration of faith, family, and freedom, proudly made in the USA. So if you're looking for something extra gentle, you can also try Nimi's clean, fragrance-free formulas. They are very ideal for sensitive skin and those that are seeking a pure approach to self-care. Be sure to use code Candace10 today at NimiSkincare.com. That is spelled N-I-M-I skincare.com. Promo code Candace10 and you'll save 10% on your purchase. Give yourself or someone special the gift of glowing, refreshed skin and keep that fresh start feeling going strong well into 2025. That's NimiSkincare.com. Promo code Candace10. Also, regarding American financing, interest rates have dropped, which means it's time to take advantage. A lot of Americans are struggling to keep up with everyday bills, eggs, coffee, and you're reaching for the credit cards to pay for this. If you are a homeowner, interest rates have fallen into the 5s. It's nearly a quarter of the average credit card rate. American financing is helping homeowners just like you save an average of $800 a month by tapping into your home's equity and wiping out high interest debt. And the best part is there are no upfront fees to get started. Credit card rates are insane. If you're carrying a balance every month, you're stuck in an endless cycle. You can break free today by calling American Financing and seeing how much you could be saving. And if you start now, you may even delay the next 2 mortgage payments. So call 800-795-1210. Again, that's 800-795-1210 or visit americanfinancing.net/Owens. That's americanfinancing.net/Owens. Okay, let's get into the comments. Also, yeah, by the way, with House and Habit, like it was a very much a tell when she was then tweeting, I have White House sources, Candace is anti-Semitic. It was like, okay, who's directing this? Who's behind this? Like, come on. Come on, we're starting to put the pieces together here. Let me get some of your comments before I get on to another pregnancy rant and try to go for somebody's entire life. Okay, Jack Splat writes, I really get the feeling that House in Habit poked the bear, pregnant Candace for publicity. She just can't be this dumb. BTW, I love you, Candace. May God continue to bless and protect you. Thank you so much. I really do think it's the prayers that keep keeping me safe, because these people are just plotting in ways that are just so sinister and so sick. And it has been, like I said, nonstop since last March. It has been nonstop. It's been a full year of plots against my family, and we have been in just warrior mode for so long. And I just can't even, they just won't even just let me enjoy an end of pregnancy. They're like, no, what else can we get? What else can we find? And like I said, her piece matched too much the most recent Zionist attack where they're all like, Andrew Tate is back. Has anybody considered that Candace Owens might be a pimp alongside Andrew Tate? It's like, what is this? What are you guys? None of this is real. How are you just coming up with these weird storylines? Bianca Censori is naked. Has anybody considered that maybe Candace Owens has made Bianca Censori naked? Like, what are we doing anymore? This is all so dumb. Julie Ryan writes, House of Habit is giving midlife crisis. Taylor Swift expecting her minion fans to just take her side and ruthlessly dropping old friends like it's nothing. 1000% true. Nasty business what she's getting involved in. Talia Ann writes, hold my poodle. Who is messing with Candace? People are messing. They've not stopped. They have not stopped. And I feel like now they're angry I survived. And that's why their language is getting precise. Like, you know, it needs to be a clean shot. You demented, you're just a demented human being. You deserve no platform. Okay. I'm not where I was yesterday. No platform. And that's the way it works. You do stuff, you plot in the dark, and then in the light gets a little bit of exposure. And now everybody needs a break. Everybody needs a break now. I'm just going to step away. People don't know what's happening behind the scenes. No, we want to know what's happening behind the scenes, though. You're right. We want to know what flipped you so quickly against Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and Ian Carroll. Feels like there's other people you could go after. So what changed you so quickly? Who changed you? What motivated you to take those shots? Akiba Joseph writes, go off, Queen C. Thank you. I feel better. If that helps, I definitely feel better. Aspiring Beach Bum writes, did you have 2 bagels today? No, it's Lent and I gave up bagels. How dare you mention it? Guys, I said no mentioning of the B word. Okay, I didn't say it, but I'm saying it now. No mentioning of the B word until Lent is over. Don't ever want to see this in my comments again. Aspiring Beach Bum. South Pole writes, Mrs. Candace, any chance you can get Thomas Sowell on your show? I would love to. I've tried for years, almost made it happen. When I was working for PragerU, and then COVID happened and he didn't want to leave because he's obviously older and more at risk, which was totally understandable. I adore him. He's changed so many of my perspectives, but I consider it now to just kind of be like a pipe dream. Who knows? Courtney P writes, my mom passed away Wednesday morning and your show and Jesus has been the only thing that's been able to distract me from the loss. Thank you, Candace, for being you, and always fight for truth and stay in prayer. Courtney, I mean, that is a huge loss in your life. Stay in prayer. And, you know, like I said, I was thinking about my granddad, and the grief never goes away, but it does kind of change and it becomes like happy grief. And you kind of imagine them in certain scenarios. And I was kind of thinking of my granddad last year when everything was going down, because he just was the kind of guy who you just couldn't tell my granddad nothing, you know, like no one's telling him nothing. And so he would have just gone off. And I was thinking about, for those who have seen me in Congress and my granddad who was behind me, and he was like about to just get up and just give it to Jerry Nadler or Ted Lieu. He's like, no, that's not what she said. That's not what she said. You know, you hold on to those sorts of memories and then you kind of start to imagine them in scenarios and you laugh and you chuckle and everything kind of becomes beautiful, like sad, but like there is a beauty to sadness. Beans says, Candace, my heart breaks for you, especially when you were speaking about your granddad. I know he's watching over and protecting you. Oh yeah, he's protecting me. I got my granddad's spirit. You don't understand. We used to go at it, me and granddad. He would stomp, not in my house. And I'd be like, granddad. But we had this thing where like we would like flare and we were instantly over it. And then he like 5 minutes of him like stomping on a carpet. And then he'd be like, do you want to take me to get something to eat? And I'm like, yeah. We call that an Owens temper. Like it just flares and then you're good. Which is what kind of just happened today on the show. Like flares and then like you're good and it's all love and it's never like, you know, you don't carry into the next day or the next hour or the next 5 minutes. You just gotta like Owens. You gotta Owens it. Daniel Johnson writes, after all this baby is about to come out a fighter. Dude, that's what I said to my husband. I was like, this person growing we've been in full war mode, and we just thought we'd maybe get a break, and we thought because we've just always been so kind to people. And it was refreshing to hear Emily admit that on the phone, like that she couldn't find anything. Couldn't find an employee, anything. Like people are genuinely say, Candace has treated people very well. I just deal in fairness. My grandfather was the kind of person who would do a deal on a handshake. And I think we need that. Like we just need to go back to that culture of honor where your insides crawl at the idea of doing what Jessica was doing, where you're in, like you want to die. That's how I feel. I would physically want to die if I was just plotting against someone who had done nothing to me. Like I am allergic to that. Like I have some sort of like a systemic response to lies, to plots, to just sinister motives. And I just wish everyone had that. And I need to stop wishing because that's not going to happen. But at least what is happening is that the people who operate in the opposite manner are losing their platforms pretty quickly. Like one by one, they're just all falling down and getting exposed and people getting fired. And it's, and realizing that they don't have influence anymore. And I guess that is God seeking vengeance. God is always in control. And I really do believe that vengeance belongs to him, even when I do want it to be mine. And I'm so angry. I know that on Sunday at Mass, I am going to pray for Jessica Reed Krause because I literally have to. I am a Catholic. I have to pray for my enemies. And I have to pray for her because that is a spiritual sickness, She is spiritually ill. I really do believe that. Anyways, if you have tips, I think you guys the wrong website earlier. I'm getting pregnancy brain here at the end. You guys can hear it and sometimes me mispronouncing words and it's just happening here. We got 5.5 weeks left to go. Just bear with me. New email tips. We have a new inbox, what they're telling me. It's tips@CandaceOwens.com. Not like your nail tips, but like you have a tip for me, tips@CandaceOwens.com. Send them our way. I want to look into Olivia Nuzzi. I want to focus on her. And I have some other tidbits about her and the stuff that she's saying about RFK behind the scenes. She still has a thing for him. There's no question about that. And I just think RFK is compromised. I just don't know what he's doing right now. Nothing he's doing makes sense. But I will say this, if I was in an RFK situation, there would be nothing. My family lived through what my family lived through. There would be nothing that could make me bend the knee. I would die on my knees. I would die on my feet like his father did. I would not die on my knees. And so I find him to be a dishonorable character. To defend someone like Rabbi Shmuley when he is taking shots and lying about someone who is honest makes RFK Jr. dishonorable. So I have no respect for him. I thank him for his contributions because I think I got to choose different for my children because of him. And I would not take that away from him, even though were I the heir, were I a Kennedy, you would bet there would be no way. There would be no freaking way. Anyways, new merch on our website, anti-feminist, because I've always been anti-feminist. You guys are really liking this merch. It's really pretty. And as we get ready to drop the second book, and it's so pristine. I just love it. It's very pristine. You can find that, obviously. You can go to CandaceOwens.com, go to clubcandace.com. It'll direct to all our merch. We have restocked things for you. And that is the end of a very long week. We'll jump back into our Harvey series now that I finally have established that connection with Jessica. And like I said, give her an opportunity to add whatever she would like to add, so that we do a fair bit of journalism at the beginning of the next week, which I already said. But like I said, pregnancy brain. We'll see you guys then.